Natural Products Expo West takes place this week at the Anaheim Convention Center. Some 3,500 exhibitors and 80,000 attendees swarmed the place last year to check out new products. It's a crazy show, keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. Hi, this is Tim Patterson, Trade Show Guy, and this is the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee for March 4th, 2019. So glad you could join me. Since I'll be in Anaheim all week, I thought I'd give you a bit of a preview of the show from my perspective. After all, this will be my 17th year in a row at the show. So my first client back in the day, 2003, I was working for Interpretive Exhibits, managed to sell a new custom booth to Kettle Foods, which at the time was headquartered here in town in Salem, Oregon. Shortly followed by things, business like Nancy's Yogurt, Mountain Rose Herbs, G Diapers, and many more along the way. So I keep going back to the show because I keep meeting new people and they keep wanting to, do some work with us. So it is a crazy show. This year, got 9 clients there, including 3 new ones and 4 new custom designed and fabricated exhibits. One of the clients is an older client, but they've got kind of an off-the-shelf backdrop for what they're doing. So I'll be working with folks like Bob's Red Mill, Dave's Killer Bread, Schmidt's Naturals, Yerba Prima, Weatherspoon Manuka Honey, Wild Brine Organics, Hop Tea, Highlands Homeopathic, and some older clients who are going to be there. I'll stop and visit, but we haven't done any changes with their booths, although we did new stuff for them in the past. So yeah, it's a kind of a crazy week, busy week. I don't get much downtime. And I stayed in an Airbnb in Santa Ana, which has worked out really well for me the last 5 or 6 years. Frankly, I kind of had to do it because when I would look for a hotel, like the day of when they released the hotels in like June or July, I couldn't find anything that was within walking distance. They got booked that fast. That's how many people are down there and how much in demand the rooms are. I don't know how long the show is going to be in Anaheim. They've actually built a new hall they call the North Hall, which opened up last year. Hundreds of smaller exhibitors in there, I think, to accommodate the show. It is a crazy show. A lot of people have a good time. A lot of people make a lot of business deals at the show or meet new people or meet distributors. Every once in a while, I'll hear some sort of disparaging words about it because they got stuck way in the back or way upstairs or way behind. They just don't have a good location. And I get that. It's kind of hard to deal with that if you're a new exhibitor and you can't step up and get a larger booth and you don't have all the points and all that stuff. I'm not sure how that all works, but seniority counts at these shows when you're trying to get a better space. And so that's why you see businesses coming year after year after year after year, because every year they're there, they get more points. I mean, for instance, Bob's Red Mill, they're going to be in a 40 by 40 space this year. When I first met them, 15 years ago, before we started working with them, they had a 10 by 20 space. And it was a couple years after that we did a 20 by 20, but they've gone from a 20 by 20 to a 20 by 30 to a 30 by 30 to a 30 by 40. And this year it's a 40 by 40 booth. So it's a pretty big deal. And other clients I've worked with are growing as well. Dave's Killer Bread, they've expanded. Schmidt's Naturals is expanding. What's interesting to see is that so many companies that I work with in this particular show are in a bit of a growth mode. They just have the resources to step up and do things, and it's kind of nice to be their, lack of a better word, trade show guy that helps them out in these things. It's a lot of fun. And it's great because as a small business, I don't have a lot of clients, but the ones I do, I want to, serve as best as I can and pay a lot of personal attention to them. That's kind of what works, I guess, best. So we also hire some other folks to do the designing and fabricating. We often work with classic exhibits for most of this stuff, not everything, but most. We've been working for a few years with Eagle Management to do the setup, installation, dismantle, and they've done a great job, very professional, very resourceful. That's always good. And so, being behind the scenes the 2 days or so, 3 days before they open the halls to the public is a crazy, chaotic place in and of itself before they open it up to the public, which becomes even more crazier and more chaotic with that many people walking the hall. And since it's a food show for the most part, not everything is food, but Natural Products has a lot of food in it. All the companies that have foods are taste testing, so they're sampling. So even if you try and avoid eating a whole lot of food, I find that usually one meal away from there per day is plenty because people will offer you stuff and you take a little bit of chips or you take a little bit of bar or this or that and you end up grazing and going through a lot of calories. But that's okay because I'm walking 6 or 7 or 8 miles a day to work off the calories, right? That's how it works. So a lot of walking. I've worn a Fitbit the last few years there, and yes, it comes to about 7 or 8 miles a day on the busy days. I do have a number of friends in Los Angeles. Over the years, I've visited them. I tend to go see this one friend of mine who is going to be in his, I think he's going to be 77 this June. He's the reggae artist, he's the reggae author, Roger Stephens. He's known as Bob Marley's biographer, and he tours the world doing this great 2-hour multimedia show called The Life of Bob Marley, and I've gotten to know him over the years. And so he's invited me to his place the last 10 or 15 years. I've gone and visited him there. Very interesting guy, and I'll pop up a picture on this as well of what he's done. Some of the books he's written dozens of books. By the way, if you want to see what kind of, he was a photographer in Vietnam when he was younger and has taken pictures his whole life. He's got 40 or 50,000 slides that have been digitized, and his kids, his daughter and son, run their Instagram account, The Family Acid. So he's like one of the original hippies. Seriously. Became a very liberal guy when he got back home from Vietnam and became a hippie and lived that lifestyle for decades as he did writing and producing and acting in movies and things like that. So that's always fun to visit him. He's always got great tales to tell. So that's what I'll be doing. And then back home in 6 days, and about 3 weeks later, I'm heading down to Las Vegas to drop in on the NAB Show, the National Association of Broadcasters. Got invited to that. That's kind of fun. Doesn't happen a lot, so I'm going to take advantage of that. Be there just for a couple of days. I think it's a 4-day show, but I'll just be there for a couple. And it's interesting to me also because I've been a broadcaster for more of my career life than any other occupation, and I still am a volunteer broadcaster at a community radio station here in Salem. And so, just kind of going to that show and seeing what happens at the NAB, I've never been. So it'll be fun to do that from that aspect. So that's kind of my sneak preview of the Natural Products Expo West show. While I'm there, I always am watching Twitter because Twitter and Instagram, you're always checking the hashtags Expo West, see what people are posting, and I post a lot of pictures as well, so you can follow my accounts. Just find them TradeshowGuy on both Instagram and Twitter, and would love to have you follow along. And if you see something fun, respond. I usually get back to you. So that's what I'll be doing this week. Trade show tip of the week. When you go to a trade show, make sure you take your most comfortable, best-looking shoes. I've found over the years that the more expensive the shoes, the nicer the shoes, the less comfortable they are. Either I'm doing it wrong or I don't wear them enough. So I wear the comfy shoes. They're good looking, but I wear the comfy shoes. This week's one good thing, air travel. What would we do without air travel? We'd be doing it by train, I guess. And train travel is great, but it just, if I were going from here to Anaheim, it'd be like a 24-hour trip. Air travel, you hop on the plane, you're there in 2.5 hours. So have yourself a great week, and catch you next week with probably a recap, in a sense, of Expo West. Have yourself a great week.